Chief Communications Officer for the City of Colorado Springs. Thanks for joining us so quickly today for some really exciting news. Ironically, we had this time set aside for some staffing announcements today here at the city, where Mayor Yemi has announced that Sally Clark is our new Government and Military Affairs Advisor. So welcome to the team, Sally. And it's kind of a 2-for-1 because we have some really big, amazing Space Command news. So with that, we have a couple speakers here for you today. We have Mayor Yemi Mobolade from the City of Colorado Springs. We have former Mayor John Suthers of the City of Colorado Springs. We have County Commissioner Cammie Bremer. And then we have Jim Lovewell, who's the Chief Operating Officer for the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC. So with that, we'll get started here. Mayor Yemi.
Good afternoon. Today is an exciting day. First of all, I just want to acknowledge the former Mayor John Suthers here. I called him and he picked up right away, and it's almost as though he knew what the news is going to be about. So I actually do want to start this, kick off the press conference by showing you a copy of this letter. So this letter was in my office the day I started my job as mayor of this great city. I had 2 letters. One was from John Suthers, welcoming me to the office and giving me some great advice. The other letter was a letter he wrote to Secretary Kendall, expressing his strong support for keeping Space Command here in Colorado Springs. And I read that letter and I knew this would be also one of my top priorities, and to continue that legacy of working with so many incredible leaders to ensure that Space Command stays here in Colorado Springs. So today's announcement is an affirmation of what we already know, friends. Colorado Springs is the home of space. Our city is proud to be the permanent home of U.S. Space Command, and we are committed to its long-term success. It is clear this final decision is in the best interest of our national security, and it's the most responsible use of our taxpayer dollars. So I want to express a few thanks, starting with President Biden and to our Colorado military delegation, Senators Michael Bennet, Senator John Hickenlooper, Congressman Doug Lamborn, and Jason Crow, Governor Jared Polis, Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera, and the El Paso County Commissioners, many of them who are here today. The Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC, thank you for your heavy lift, and our defense industry leadership. And I thank the former Mayor John Suthers as well. So, friends, the list is just too many and too long, really, to do this justice. This project is a perfect example of collaboration. We use the words collaboration a lot, but Space Command and the work at all levels of government and this community support is just second to none. So today marks the beginning of a next chapter for our city's long and proud military history. And Colorado Springs will continue to rally around and support our service members, our veterans, and their family members. So again, congratulations to all of us. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Mayor John Suthers to the podium.
Thank you. Folks, if you would have asked me an hour and a half ago what my biggest disappointment was as mayor of Colorado Springs, I would have said absolutely President Trump's decision to move Space Command to Huntsville, Alabama. And so imagine how pleased I am to be here today with the announcement that the Biden administration has decided to leave Space Command in Colorado Springs. As Mayor Mobolade said, this is the right decision for the national security interest and the interest of the American taxpayer. It's a great day for Colorado Springs, but it's also a great day for the citizens of the United States. I also want to thank everybody that's been involved. And when I think back about the presentation we made, this all happened during COVID, and we had to make our presentations online, and all the top brass in Washington were back there, and we had to, be within seconds to pull this off and these 30-minute presentations and all the work that went into that, which of course heightened our disappointment when President Trump made a decision to move it. I want to thank particularly Senators Bennett and Senator Hickenlooper. Mayor Mobilotti made reference to a letter that I wrote to Secretary Kendall. Senator Hickenlooper called me and said that he'd had a meeting with Secretary Kendall, and that in his opinion, Secretary Kendall wasn't as convinced as he should be that the initial decision was a very political one, and that I needed to write him a letter and talk about the conversations that I'd had with President Trump. And that's what that letter was about. Within several days after that, David Ignatius of the Washington Post got a copy of that letter. I have a feeling that Senator Hickenlooper had something to do with that. And he wrote a column about the political nature of that decision. I really think that kind of began things rolling. I also, of course, the ultimate credit belongs to the Biden administration. As you know, Senator Bennett and I met President Biden when he came out for the Air Force Academy graduation. And we were very, very relieved at that point in time to know that President Biden was very focused on this decision, and he was focused on the right things. He was focused on the fact that we're in the midst of a Russian-Ukrainian war. Ukrainians are incredibly dependent upon information being given to them by Space Command. There are other aspects of American security that would be seriously disrupted if there was any disruption of Space Command. And I felt, and I think Senator Bennett felt, with that conversation that President Biden was focused on the right issues, and there was a very, very good chance that the decision that was made today would in fact be the final decision. The entire congressional delegation, we had a lot of great work from the mayor's office, succession of people working in the military relations area on this. Don Conley and Jesse Kimber. Where is Jesse Kimber? This lady lived and died it. She hunted out every single article that ever existed about this thing and stayed absolutely on top of it, was in virtually daily communication with the congressional delegation, and it was just a lot of hard work. I also want to give credit to the city's lobbyist, Brownstein, who happens to be my current employer, but they did a great job. They knew who everybody was in Washington, in Congress and the White House, and who needed to be talked to, and they did a great, great job for the city of Colorado Springs. So great effort by everybody. Congratulations, Mayor. This is great news. Folks, there's not a lot of people right now involved in Space Command. I think the number, Jim's about 1,500, something like that. But it's going to grow, and it's going to attract, it's going to reinforce the fact that we are the epicenter of military space in America. It's going to grow the presence of defense organizations here. This is wonderful, wonderful news for Colorado Springs, and I congratulate everybody involved. And next one up is Cammie Brimmer, Chairman of El Paso County Commissioners.
It is truly an exciting afternoon, and on behalf of my colleagues, I am Cammie Brimmer, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. On behalf of my colleagues, Lojinos Gonzalez Jr., Stan Vanderwerf, Holly Williams, and Carrie Geithner, we are so excited to have been a part of a truly collaborative effort. Our regional community partners and elected officials have a long-standing tradition of being team players with our national defense. And we've carried that forward in support of the newest branch of the United States Armed Services, the U.S. Space Force. Together, we've pushed the limits and gone to new frontiers
to create a place where businesses thrive, military communities are welcomed, and governments work together to serve all. We're honored to welcome and reaffirm our commitment to those called to serve in the newest branch of the U.S. military. Space Command, welcome home.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Lovewell, the Chief Operating Officer of the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC. And on behalf of our President and CEO, John Reeder-Claymire, that could not be here today for this momentous occasion, it's my pleasure to offer a few comments on her behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, Space Command has been undertaking a very important national security mission for a long time in its provisional nature. But we're very pleased today for El Paso County, the Colorado Springs, City of Colorado Springs, and for the state of Colorado that its permanent home will be here. We definitely feel this is in the best interest of national security, and we have an obligation here to make sure that the men and women and the families who serve in United States Space Command have this continue to be the best place to be in the United States military and to prosecute those missions. A lot has been said about the partners who we've been with here, and I've mentioned a number of them have already been mentioned. We have so many here throughout the community. We have them up at the state level, the governor, lieutenant governor's office, as well as on our federal elected officials, staffs, and they themselves. Their support has been phenomenal. But it's through that I was able to witness the bipartisan support. We rallied around this as something that was so important to national security. And it was a beautiful thing to see. And I look forward to all the other things that we're going to be able to accomplish here locally as well as throughout the state in that same vein, because those relationships have been matured over the last year and a half that I've been working with them. We acknowledge today as well that this is a big impact to our community and what it means for the national defense supporting companies and to a lot of the other services that are here. This is a big infusion to our community. And again, I say how important it is for us to have that obligation back to United States Space Command, as well as all the other military agencies and organizations here in our community. The Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC will put out details shortly about a celebration that we foresee in about a week that will be able to come together as a community and to thank those partners, to talk about what partnership looks like in Colorado, El Paso County, and the city of Colorado Springs. So more details to follow. Today is a great day. I'm glad this decision has been wrapped up in the name of national security interest, and it is a pleasure to celebrate with all of you. Thank you so very much.